Hey, it's July 12th, and we find ourselves in Amos chapters 6 through 9. Now, if you're like most people, you've had many promises made to you, and many of those promises have been kept. But some of those promises have been broken. Now, unlike people, God always keeps his promises, as we're going to see in today's passage. In chapter 6, Israel is told that they are no better than anyone else. Israel has been enjoying a time of prosperity, but God asks them if they are truly better than the idol-worshipping nations around them that he was going to punish. The answer is no, so Israel would not escape God's judgment either. In chapter 7, God shows Amos two visions about two possible judgments he could carry out on Israel. Both times, Amos pleads for God not to carry them out because Israel wouldn't survive. God tells Amos that he's not going to do either of those things because he wasn't going to totally destroy Israel. So God shows Amos a third vision of a plumb line. Now, a plumb line is just a string with a heavy weight tied at the end, and it's used to measure or make sure a wall is perfectly vertical. Israel was measured by God's plumb line and found not to be upright, so God was going to remove them from the land of Israel. As Amos is proclaiming to Israel what God is telling him, King Jeroboam is made aware of Amos's messages. He tells Amos to leave Israel and go to Judah. Amos tells Jeroboam that doesn't change what will happen. Jeroboam would still die by the sword in a foreign land, as God promised. In chapter 8, God shows Amos another vision, a basket of summer fruit representing Israel was ripe for God's judgment, specifically for their greed and taking advantage of the poor. With the people gone, God's word would not be proclaimed in the land of Israel for a long time. And in chapter 9, we have one final vision. There would be no escape for Israel from God's judgment. The judgment Israel never thought would happen, would, and did happen. Then in verses 11 to 15, God shows Amos the future millennium, just like he showed Isaiah. The land would again produce abundant food, and Israel would never again be removed from the land by another nation. So what can we take away from today's passage? First, ignoring God's truth doesn't change the fact that it's true. Jeroboam thought that by getting rid of Amos, that would prevent God's judgment. That didn't work so well. God's will and word are true, whether we choose to believe them or not. Second, God hates greed. Israel was punished for choosing money over God and taking advantage of the poor and the helpless. Deal honestly and justly with people, or answer to God. And third, God keeps his promises. Regardless of how much Israel sinned against him, he is keeping his word and giving them the promised land in the very near future. The same is true with the promise of salvation to all. Romans 5:8 tells us that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And Romans 10:13 says that anyone who calls on the name of the Lord, or anyone who trusts in Jesus' death and resurrection for forgiveness, will be saved. My prayer for us today is that we take to heart God's warnings of judgment and live righteously according to his word, and that we would trust all of God's promises to us, seeing that he has never failed to keep any one of them. If you haven't done so already, please download our Through the Bible reading plan at aspericommunitychurch.org/throughthebible. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.